What's going on? I'm Steve Larson. Welcome to Secret MLM Hacks Radio. In this episode, we're going to talk about how you can produce a one-to-many styled sales presentation instead of being stuck on doing these one-on-one presentations.
12 years ago, I began using the internet to recruit, which resulted in over 1,400 people in my personal downline without using any traditional or outdated methods. Now I've decided to burn it all down and start over in a different business. Follow me as I document what it takes to auto-recruit my next 1,000 people into my own downline from scratch. I'm Steve J. Larson, and welcome to Season 2 of Secret MLM Hacks Radio.
So this is one of the questions that was written in. I do so much driving in the morning during the school year that a lot of my episodes I'm just driving in the car, so hopefully you're cool with that. But so someone wrote in and asked, hey, how do I build an audience so that I can be doing these one-to-many style pitches instead of one-to-one? And it's a great question. It's probably one of the most important questions to be asking. Because if you're going to go and do the old school models of just doing like home parties and stuff, you're literally like time is your competition, right? Time is the amount of time it takes to pitch is kind of your biggest sore spot. And the reason, if you think about it, I did this, in fact, if you want to see me do this, I actually do like to do this inside of the Secret MLM Hacks presentation when I actually teach our model and why it's so different. I always like to ask the audience, like, hey, how long is the standard home party meeting? How long is the standard home party meeting? And in the chat, in the comments, you get people, some people say like an hour. Some people are like, oh, it's 2 hours. If someone's like a super big partier, an average home party, they'll be like, 3 hours. It's a lot of time, right? Home party meetings take a long time. And it's because if you think about it, you've got the pleasantries and the how you doing and the we're gonna get to know each other for a little bit phase, and that takes time, and then you're gonna make your transition into the actual pitch and do the pitch, and then you're not done. You're gonna walk around the room, see who's gonna buy from you, if anyone does at all. It takes a lot of time. So what's cool about that? Like, I want like write this down. Recognize that marketing is not created equally, right? All marketing you've ever heard of ever works. It works to do home party meetings. It does. It works. It sucks, but it works. Right? It works to do three-way phone calls. It also works to use the internet, right? But what is different about each one of these is the speed. The marketing has different channels have different velocities. Does that make sense? That's one of the biggest things to understand with this. So when I first started using the internet to recruit, like 12 years ago, I didn't account for the volume of people that I was going to be able to like save myself from pitching and talking to one-on-one, and how much time that would save me. I went and I started looking at one of my recruiting funnels, and in fact, I pulled the stats up a little while ago. It's ridiculous. One of my recruiting funnels on the internet had, in like a 2-year period of time, it's like 9,000 people came to this recruiting funnel, and they started checking out my recruiting presentation. And I just think it's fun to think about. Like, if you were to go in and say, hey, how many hours are in 1 year, right? Like, if I was to pitch those people like one-on-one or even 2 at a time, and it's all I did, I still don't think I could pitch 9,000 people. Right? That's crazy. And that's one of the benefits of using the internet, is literally just by the numbers. It's a volume game, right? It's a numbers game. The first time I ever thought about this, and I was trying to figure this out, I was actually a door-to-door sales guy, and I was walking through this neighborhood. It was so hot, and I got I got booed out of a neighborhood. I was selling pest control. I went and I started learning to do sales, and I went and did door-to-door sales because of Robert Kiyosaki. Robert Kiyosaki, when I was in college, he had this, he was saying this phrase. He would say basically, hey, if you are going to be an entrepreneur, but you don't know how to sell, you're not going to be an entrepreneur. And I was like, crap, I don't know how to sell. I got to go learn how to be a salesperson. I got to figure out how to sell. So I decided to go do door-to-door sales specifically because of that. And when I was doing it, you know, it sucked. It was hard. I remember in particular, there was this one neighborhood that basically, like I said, booed me out of the neighborhood, like dealing with a lot of rejection. And it is normal to get rejection in a day, but this was like a lot of rejection. And in this particular day. And so I went back home to our little apartment that we were living at the time, my ex-wife and I, and, you know, we had just found out basically that we were pregnant with our first, and, you know, excited. And we, this is about the time when I first started getting into network marketing and trying it, the old school way. But anyway, so I get booed out of this neighborhood. I go back to our little apartment. The next morning, I wake up and I was in a bad mood. I was kind of in a bad mood. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to go get rejected and booed all day again. Like, this sucks. This is hard. And I was not looking forward to it. And I was, you know, a little bit of a little poopy pants syndrome going on. This is all a true story. This is how I got on the internet, by the way. Okay, was this particular day. So I get booed out of a neighborhood the day before. The next day, we're driving out to our neighborhoods, right? And we did a lot of carpooling back then with the other sales guys. So my sales trainer, my main manager guy, is driving us out to the neighborhood, you know, wherever he wants us to go knock that day. And we're driving on the highway, going out there, and I remember looking up at these billboards on the highway, and for some reason, this phrase entered my head and changed my life. I'll tell you why in a second, but I looked up at the billboards, and I remember I was pouting. I was complaining in my head, and I wasn't being very playful or whatever. Like, I was pissed. I mean, honestly. And so I was looking up at these billboards, and this phrase goes through my head. And I basically, in my head, I was like, I am waking up every day trying to get people who are not planning on spending money to buy something from me. Like, these people are not waking up going, oh, I can't wait to buy some pest control today. Right? I said, I'm waking up every day trying to sell people something they were not planning on buying that day. And I was looking up at the billboards on the highway. I said, but if or when people call the signs, call these billboards, they call and they're asking to be sold. That was exactly what I said, right? Think about the intent of the buyer, the intent of the individual. I don't know how effective billboards are. They must work, everyone, you know, because people do them. But I can't imagine it's an amazing response rate. But if someone does call a billboard, that's way different than door-to-door sales, because that person was not planning. We went to them. They didn't come to us, right? But if someone calls, they're now coming to us. And I was like, wait a second. So there are people out there right now who are trying to get a hold of me. I just got to learn how to find them. And I remember this in the back of that car, driving out to this neighborhood, where I realized I asked for the first time the right question. I was like, I wonder if there's a way that I could get in front of the people who are looking for pest control. That changed everything. What I started doing at that time is, this is literally how I got on the internet. I started going to like free classified sites like Craigslist and KSL and all these different, you know. So I went to these free classified sites, and I started putting ads out for our pest control. And it's pretty normal as a door-to-door sales guy to be getting 1 or 2 sales a day. It's kind of the cadence. And so I was getting 1 or 2 sales a day, knocking about 100 doors a day, which is kind of what they try to get you to go do too. So it's knocking 100 doors a day, 1 or 2 sales a day, and suddenly my phone rang, and it was someone from one of these free classified ad sites, and it was a completely different type of sale, because I answered the phone and the person was like, "Hey, do you guys have pest control?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, what kind of bugs why are you calling, And this is a true story. This guy called in, he goes, "I can literally hear a wasp nest inside my drywall." There's a wasp nest literally in between our walls right now. Could you guys come today? And I was like, yeah. I mean, normally there's this whole script that I had to follow and helping someone see the value of what we were doing. And does that make sense? Totally different way to sell someone. Completely different. That dude did not, like seriously, let me tell you, that guy did not fight on price. He didn't haggle. He didn't care. He was grateful that we came back every quarter. And that was something I had to get them past. We come back every quarter. That was a hard thing to get past everybody else. This guy was like, please, if they've got that, yeah, why would I not want that? It was a completely different type of sale, totally different tone, completely different way. The buyer's intent was through the roof. And getting 1 to 2 sales per day knocking, I started getting 1 to 2 sales from people just calling me. It literally doubled my sales. And I remember my sales trainer, there's a big point to this, okay? My sales trainer called me and he was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Hey man, I decided I'd put up these little classified ads. Sometimes knocking doors sucks. I want to see if we can find the people who are looking for us." And I started getting 1 to 2 sales a day. And it was people who were literally "There's ants in my pants." It was a completely different kind of buyer than who I was finding for the most part on the doors, dealing with all this rejection. So the reason I say this is because I started asking myself, is there a way that I could get in front of those who are looking for me already, right now, today? And if they can't find you, they're going to buy from your competition. I'm going to tell you right now, those people exist in every big market. And when we as network marketers go out and we're doing home parties and 3-way phone calls and hotel meetings and all that stuff, it's the equivalent of door-to-door knocking a lot of times, because we're approaching people who are not planning on spending money with us. But just as much as we are alive, there are other people out there who are actually looking for the product that you have, who are actually looking to join a different network marketing business or MLM or downline. Right now, they exist right now. And I realized that I needed to learn how to do 2 things. How could I stand in front of and find the people that are already looking for me, right? Number 1. Number 2, is there a way that I could pitch the equivalent of an entire neighborhood at once, rather than walk door to door throughout the whole neighborhood and take usually 2 or 3 days to knock out a whole neighborhood? I mean, really even a week, right? Is there a way that I could do that? Pitch a whole neighborhood at once instead of onesie twosies the whole way. That's why we use the internet. It allows for volume, very different volume compared to pitching a neighborhood onesie twosies, right? Doing door-to-door sales doing 3-way phone calls really is the door-to-door sales equivalent, right, in network marketing. And it's I say that to people and they're always like, oh, yeah, that doesn't make any, why would I go do that? Well, so I love this question, and that was a long story, but let me kind of get back to the point here. The question was basically, how do I do the one-to-many styled sales? Well, first of all, you need to nail a sales presentation. If you don't have your sales presentation recorded on video, that's your first mistake. Okay, don't overthink it. I like using Google Slides. I create like a little presentation and a little slide deck and all that stuff. You got to record it. Now, one of the benefits of recording your sales presentation is it's the same every time. Have you ever done like a home party or a 3-way phone call? And you just like, it was that time that you like nailed it. You nailed the presentation, the sales presentation and script. You nailed the delivery of it, right? Like you could listen to the same band live several times and they might be better in one city than the other. It's the same songs, but they delivered it differently, right? It's like that's a big deal. That's a big thing. And so what's one of the benefits of having an automated sales presentation for people to check out your network marketing opportunity with is it's the same every time. While you're sleeping, someone can be watching it, right? While you're, I don't know, maybe having a bad day. It's the same presentation every time. So what I like to do, and I actually have done this, all my most successful sales presentations for any product I've ever sold ever were presentations that I gave multiple times so I could work the kinks out. I did it live as many times as possible. And then when I felt I had like worked the kinks out, then I like put it in an automated setting. Does that make sense? So that's like one of the big key pieces of how you use the internet to recruit. Do it live. Do it lots of time. I don't know if you're gonna do it on Zoom. I don't know if you're gonna, which I actually know a lot of companies that do that. They're like, hey, we're gonna do our home party call, right? Really, it's a webinar presentation that they do weekly and you can send anybody to it. And it's a good thing though, because it allows you to see how it's done, how people are presenting it. There's a lot of storytelling and a good pitch, you know. But that's what I would go do. Go do your presentation. Like my most successful, this is kind of in network marketing. My most successful sales presentation that I ever did, I did it 17 times live, 17 weeks in a row, and then I automated it. And then when I automated it, all I had to do was learn after that point to figure out like how to consistently get traffic, which for me was a combination of content and ads, which is usually what it is in every market. And after about a 2-year period, it had made about $2 million. I'm not saying it's going to happen for you, but that's exactly that's what happened. I think where the game gets really unforgiving is when people are like, I have my sales presentation for my network marketing business. I've got it. It's up. How come I'm not rich yet? It's like, you got to figure out the traffic piece next, you know? And we talk about all that stuff inside my stuff. But anyway, so that's how I go do it. The question was, how do I build an audience so that I can do one-to-many style sales presentations? Well, the first is to just think about the one-to-many style sales presentation correctly. So if I'm going to go and let's say I'm consulting somebody who's brand spanking new in using the internet to recruit, what I would tell that person is, hey, go do a Zoom. Go do a live. I don't care if there's one person, right? Do it. And do it like a dozen times at a minimum. 12 weeks in a row, right? You're going to learn. Like every single time you go do it, you're going to change, you're going to tweak, you're going to change, you're going to tweak. Just the best pitches, the best pitch people on the planet go through iterations so that they can improve what they've been, you know, they can improve their pitch and their script. It's a major fallacy to think that you're going to do a script and it's going to be this knock out of the park, crazy, amazing thing out of the gate, right? You keep working your script until it works. And then you automate, right? So what I would tell people, again, do it for like 12 weeks in a row, okay? And just suck it up. I don't care if you don't like it. I'm telling you the answer. You can pout about the answer, but it's still the answer. Do it 12 weeks in a row. Now, here's the key piece. When you begin to automate, you're going to take pieces of the cash that you're collecting from doing it live and set it aside for ads in the future. right? That's like the primer water for a pump, right? Don't drink the primer water. Okay, now as you go and begin to figure out traffic and paid traffic to get people to see your sales presentation, you're gonna be tempted to make tweaks to your funnel like crazy. Don't. I know it sounds like it's the opposite of what I just told you a second ago, but let me just explain it real quick. Back when I was Russell Brunson's funnel guy, he and I were building funnels. I wasn't ClickFunnels funnel person, not for the first like 6 or 7 months. I was Russell Brunson's personal funnel builder, and we were building for all of his cool clients. And so we were building funnels for like we did projects with Robert Kiyosaki and Tony Robbins, and we did 5 different funnels for the TV show The Profit on CNBC. So when I'm talking about funnels, I want you guys to know, like, I know like I'm talking, like I've been doing this for a long time for huge names. Okay. So I'm telling you a funnel rule right now. We had to come up with a rule because we started noticing that like people would come and ask Russell and I like, hey man, I've got this funnel up and this funnel is, I just put it up and we got our first people in there. And, but I want to go make changes. I feel like I know what's wrong with it already. And we basically would be like, all right, how many people have come to your funnel so far? And they'd be like, man, looks like we got like 50 people in there. And we're like, don't touch anything yet. And it would always throw them for a loop. So we came up with this rule because what we started seeing is that people started touching the funnel too fast, too early. And don't do that. So here's the rule. We call it the 1,000,000 rule. The 1,000,000 rule. And what the 1,000,000 rule means is that you're not allowed to touch or change a sales funnel until 1,000 people have been through it, or you spent $1,000 on ads. Only then do you have enough data to do any kind of change with any kind of confidence. Does that make sense? Anyway, so that's the 1,000,000 rule. So it might feel like I've kind of gone all over the place with this episode. What I've been trying to tell you guys is like, hey, pitching one-to-many beats one-on-one every time. So I had like 9,000 people come to just one recruiting funnel that I had. And not everyone joined, and that's fine. But eventually I did get 1,400 people to join my downline, which is awesome. And I've had a lot of people that are like, what, how'd you do that? I'm like, well, I didn't do these, all marketing moves at different speeds, right? And so I'm not saying you can't make it with home parties. I'm not saying you can't make it with 3 phone calls, but the speed of the pitch matters. The marketing velocity matters. How can I pitch a neighborhood at once? Right? How can I pitch a lot of people at one time? Right? When you kind of understand that concept, then it's like, all right, well, I'm going to go in and I'm going to create for myself a pitch that allows me to do one-to-many. I'm going to put it on a sales page. I'm going to put it on some kind of page. And it could be super simple page. It's got a headline, a video, and a button. That's it. Don't need anything else. Don't be complicated with it. But when you're doing that, right, you do it live as many times as possible, and then once you feel some form of confidence in what you've put up, stop touching it. Right, 1,000,000 rule. Right, you do at some point want to get to ads, and I can already hear that someone's going to listen to this and go, but you can't spend ads in network marketing. Yes, you can. I do. I've spent a ton of money on ads in network marketing. Okay. Don't poo-poo it out of the gate just because you don't know how we're doing it. So what I'm not doing is I'm not driving ads to a specific network marketing product. Right? You go to secretmlmhacks.com and watch that presentation. You're going to see what I'm talking about, and that's how we pull it off. But I've spent probably $350,000 in ads very profitably in network marketing, which resulted in a bunch of people joining my thing. So anyway, it works, guys. You guys are amazing. I appreciate the questions. If you guys have any other questions you guys want me to answer, I love doing this stuff. And I love it when it's listener generated questions. It's just my favorite because I know that I'm directly helping you guys. So go to secretmlmhacks.com and you can leave a voicemail straight to me about, hey, here's my question. It has like a 90-second, cap. And just start out by asking, hey, Steve, got a question for Secret MLM Hacks Radio. My question is blah, right? Anyway, you guys are amazing. Happy recruiting and happy using modern tools to do so you can pitch a neighborhood at once. It changes your life.
Hey, thanks for listening. Please remember to subscribe and leave feedback. Would you like me to teach your own downline 5 simple MLM recruiting tips for free? If so, go download your free MLM Masters Pack by subscribing to this podcast at secretmlmhacksradio.com.